Okay. So I think we can probably start this afternoon's meditation session. So I thought, as I often like to do, I was going to talk a bit more about metta meditation, loving kindness meditation. And the reason, one of the main reasons why I like to talk about this is because often the idea of samadhi, the idea of watching the breath, or becoming very peaceful, often it's very difficult for people, particularly if you have a busy life, many things to do. It's not an easy thing to be able to sit down and become very peaceful. And the reason is basically because there's too much stuff going on the mind, too many defilements, too many things that happen during the day, which make it very difficult. And the one thing that you need to do to be able to get to the point where you can do things like the breath meditation, not only can you do it, but you can do it easy. You can do it in a relaxed way, without getting tense, without getting all kinds of problems coming up, is to purify yourself, first of all. The more purity you have, the more kind of clean you are inside, so to speak, the more easy it is to actually do things like samadhi practice. And one of the main ways of purifying oneself is this idea of metta, of loving kindness. And it's good to always get back to this sort of practice. This is not the kind of very high metta that you find in the suttas. When the Buddha talks about metta, he talks about having metta for the whole world, a very powerful thing which comes after you have samadhi, after the mind is very unified. This is more like the preliminary stages. It's using the idea of metta to purify yourself, to make the mind, clean the mind out, and make it more ready for the other kind of meditation. So how do we use metta in this way to purify ourselves? What are some of the tricks? And remember, one of the most important things to be able to do metta practice is that you have to have the sense inside of you that the object that you have metta towards, that object deserves your kindness. It deserves your compassion. And only when that object deserves kindness and compassion is it possible to have metta towards it. You can't wish somebody, may you be well, may you be happy, if you don't feel any kindness towards the person. You have to feel good about that person, or good about those people, or those beings, or whatever they are. So this is foundational. You have to, first of all, establish that positive perception of a person, of people in a certain direction, whatever it is. How do you do that? And one of the ways that you find in the suttas is to think about how the mother looks upon her only child, right? This is from the Metta Sutta. You should have metta towards all beings, just like a mother has towards her child. So what does that mean? What kind of metta does a mother have towards her child? And the answer, of course, we all know, is that a mother is somebody who, no matter what the child does, if the child misbehaves, if they do all kind of crazy things in life, the mother will still have kindness, still have compassion, still have metta towards that child. Why? Because the mother sees more in that child than the bad action. The mother sees like the big picture. The mother understands, has seen the child through a whole life, knows all the underlying good qualities. And because the mother sees all the good qualities, she's able to have kindness to her child, even when it misbehaves. Not only does she see all the underlying good qualities, but she also has all these specific memories of the child when the child was young, when the child was doing various things. She remembers these things, and she remembers the beauty of those moments, specific moments when the child was being good, kind, doing all good things. And because of that, she's able to have metta regardless of what the child does. And this teaches us something about what we need to do to be able to have metta towards people around us. We have to have a similar kind of attitude. You have to, first of all, in a Buddhist community like this, remind yourself that the people around you are basically good people. People who keep precepts, people who want to purify themselves, people who are kind and compassionate, who want to do good things. That's a general principle. Just like the mother has a general sense of the beauty of her child, so we can have a general sense of the beauty of the people around us. And remind yourself of that, because in daily life, sometimes we see the negative things and we get upset. But when you see the big picture, when you remind yourself of all the underlying beauty that is there, then that changes your perception around. So this is one focus for the metta practice. Another one is sometimes it's not enough to remember just the background things. Sometimes you have to have specific memories of things. So not only should you remember the big picture, but you should also, if you are going to do metta towards a specific person, also remember specific events, beautiful events in the life of that person. When they said something beautiful, when they did an act of generosity that was very nice, when they had a beautiful look on the face of serenity, whatever it is, when you knew that there was beautiful spiritual qualities present in that person, remember that and bring that to mind. And just a picture of that in your mind is often enough to generate a sense of goodwill towards that person. Goodwill, that is the beginning of metta. When you have goodwill, then you can say from your heart, and you can mean it, may you be well, may you be happy. And this is the sort of thing you want to establish. So not only the general picture, but also the episodes in the life, also important. So once you have found a person to start off your meditation practice, there's two ways often of doing this, and one of them is the way which is found in this manual called the Visuddhimagga, and that is where you start off with a person. So you start off with a person who has special qualities, somebody you find who has extra good spiritual qualities or whatever. But once you have found a person who you think is good to start off with, then you have to remind yourself when you meditate, really remind yourself of those qualities. Remind yourself of specific events, specific episodes. Bring up the image in your mind. That's why I often say, bring up an image of the person when they're smiling. It's not so much that they're smiling, but it's that smile which is supposed to remind you. It's supposed to be a beautiful smile, reminds you of the good qualities in that person. You see the goodness in the person. And then you can say, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be free of suffering, and all, etc., etc. Or, that is the first way, it's kind of the Visuddhimagga way. The other way is to follow more closely the way it is actually done in the suttas. And the way the Buddha normally taught metta, he said you should have metta towards the different directions. So you have metta towards the eastern directions, all the beings in the eastern directions. And before, again, you do that, just remind yourself of the general qualities of the beings in that direction. Beings, lots of beings out there with many good qualities, with good heart, who want to do what is good and nice in the world. But at the same time, beings who have more suffering in their life than they want. So bring up this general idea of the beings in the eastern direction. Remind yourself what they are. Remind yourself what it is like to be human, to be good at heart, but sometimes still struggling and having difficulties. And this meditation is like a mixture between kindness and compassion. This metta, you see the suffering, you wish them well, and at the same time, you come from a kind heart, seeing the good qualities in there. So that is just a little bit of instruction on metta. So if you feel inclined to do so, I would recommend you to try this. And over time, I think you will see that your perception starts to change. You start to look upon people differently. You start to look upon the world in a different way. And slowly, slowly, you find that your heart becomes more purified. And it will have a general beneficial effect on your life and also on your meditation practice. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, so just as you start your meditation, just as always, just make sure that you're nice and relaxed. After you close your eyes, just feel your body for a few moments and make sure you sit very nice and comfortably here, wherever you are. Don't stress, don't try to be heroic with a particular posture here. Do what is going to work for you so you become peaceful here. That's all that matters in meditation practice. Sit nice and comfortable and just relax. And at this point in your meditation, don't try to do anything at all. Just sit back and just relax and just be a passenger. And just allow things to be. Allow things to settle down until you get to some sort of peace inside of yourself. just remember that at the beginning of the meditation, there's nothing really to do, there's nothing right, there's nothing wrong. You just allow things to be, and you allow the will, the volition, the driving force in the mind, you allow it just to settle down. And as it settles down, you become nice and peaceful. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. No judgment, no, just acceptance of whatever is there. Now, if you're feeling a little bit peaceful, you can try to do the metta meditation and see if it works for you. And the first thing to do is to bring to mind somebody who respect for their wisdom and spiritual qualities. Bring that person to mind and just remind yourself for a few moments of the beautiful qualities. Bring to mind a few episodes which are particularly wonderful and illustrate those qualities. And spend a minute or two just reflecting like that. And once you have established a beautiful image in your mind, very gently say to this person, may you be well, may you be content, may you be peaceful. and turn your attention to the northern direction. Just imagine again for a few seconds all the people out there, all the beings out there. Many beings, people with good hearts, which nevertheless who suffer much more than they bargain for in this life. And all those people, say from your heart, may you be happy, may you be free from that suffering. And then think of all the people, all the beings in the eastern direction. And again, remind yourself of all those good-hearted people out there. All those people who still are a prey and subject to suffering. May all of them, all people, all beings, all animals, may they all find happiness and freedom from that suffering. then move your attention to the southern direction. And also remember all the animals out there, all the animals and the harsh life of animals, and how there's nothing they can do often about the suffering they experience. You just have to bear with it. All those animals, weak and strong, young and old, all of them find some sort of release from the suffering and difficulties of life. And then lastly, turn your attention to the western direction, all the way out west, over the ocean, all the beings out there, human, animals, any other beings that may exist. And imagine your compassion like a helping hand or a warm blanket that helps to help all those beings out there, to make them feel more comfortable, more relaxed. May you be well. May you be happy. May I help you alleviate your suffering. now bring your attention back into this room with all these people sitting around you, all these good people who keep precepts, who act out of kindness, and remind yourself of all the goodness that is found in this room and found in this Buddhist society. And remind yourself of some of the specific acts that you can recall as being particularly beautiful and powerful. And then wish all the people around you, all the members of this Buddhist society, all the members of whatever group you belong to, may you all, each one of you, may you be happy. May you be free of troubles and difficulties in life. And then last of all, bring the attention back to yourself and think about yourself just for a few moments. Remind yourself that you too are a good person. You're somebody who tries the best to live a good life. Remember some of the specific actions that you have done that gave you joy and happiness that were particularly beautiful. And then wish yourself well. May I too be happy. May I too find an end to troubles and difficulties. Okay, so sit nice and comfortably again here. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about this meditation? Anything you want to say here? Everybody quite happy here? Good. Okay, so there's one question here from Singapore. And he says the following: I find that when I take mental note of whatever I'm doing, e.g. when I walk, I say walking, walking, and when I drink, I said drinking, drinking, my concentration is weakened. I wonder if taking mental note is only good for vipassana meditation, or it could work for samadhi meditation as well. I think the idea of taking mental note is basically to help you focus on what you're doing. So it is really neither samadhi nor vipassana. It's just helping you to focus on what you're doing. So it is a samatha, calming aspect to that. And there's certainly a samadhi aspect as well. It's not nothing really. It's neither samadhi nor vipassana. It's just helping you to focus. So if it is helpful, if it helps you to calm you down because your mind is very busy or you are thinking a lot or whatever, then please use that technique if it works for you. But if you find that it actually is a distraction, and as you're saying here, that it actually weakens your concentration, if that is the case, then there's no need to do the noting anymore, because maybe it means that you have gone past that stage. You come to a stage when you don't need to note anymore, and for that reason you can just focus on the breath, or you can do whatever else, whatever other kind of meditation practice you like, whether it's mantra or metta or whatever it is, anything like that will be fine. So only do what works. This is one of the most important things in meditation practice. There's no, this is right, this is wrong. It's whatever works that is right, whatever makes you peaceful, whatever makes you have the intention of kindness towards others. That is what is right. So remember, it is by the result that these things are measured. It's not by some kind of ritual that we're trying to do or whatever. I hope that helps, Mark. There's also a question that I got sent from Sri Lanka, and this is a question about somebody who is feeling tremors in the meditation. And this sort of thing that you feel, different kind of things, you may even see things, all sort of stuff may happen in your meditation practice. This is very common when you become peaceful. Some people find their body rocks a little bit, some people find that they have strange kind of pains or itches, all kind of things can happen. It's just what happens usually because you become peaceful. It's not so much these things are not important indicators of your meditation. The important indicator of meditation is your state of mind. So if your mind is becoming peaceful, if it's becoming brighter, if you have less hindrances, if things are going the right direction, you're feeling better basically, more settled inside of yourself, more at ease, more relaxed, then you know it's good. Then you don't have to worry about seeing things or feeling things or whatever it is. That is not important. It's your mental state that matters. And that is how you measure the meditation. There's only one thing, and that is one thing which you have to be a little bit careful with, and that is if you start to hear voices in meditation practice, you have to be careful, because that can be a sign that it is going perhaps in the wrong direction. So if you hear voices in a meditation, normally I would say maybe you're using too much willpower, using too much force, maybe there is some delusion coming into the meditation practice, and it's probably a good idea at that point to relax off and back off a bit on the meditation, particularly if those voices are persistent and they're not a natural thought or anything natural to them, but a persistent voice that sort of intrudes into your mind. It's a sign that something is wrong. Because if it is a natural voice or a natural thought, then there's a sense that you are in charge, a sense that you can turn your attention away, you can do something with it. But if something keeps intruding and there's no way of turning your attention away from it, then it's likely to be some kind of delusion there. And this sort of delusion and voice in your head can get worse if you keep on meditating on it. So be careful with voices. Relax a little bit, back off a bit, do a bit of metta, do something where you are a bit more active with your own inner voice, and allow things to, don't force the meditation at that stage. There are certain things that get worse with meditation, and one of those things that can get worse is the hearing of this sort of voices. So be careful there. Okay, is there anything else anybody would like to mention at this point? Everybody happy here? Yeah? Excellent. So let us pay our homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.